Hello and a very warm welcome to you. First tonight, the astonishing tunnel that environmental campaigners have secretly dug deep under central London at Euston. Protesters, including the well-known activist Swampy, have built a makeshift camp outside the station. They want to stop the construction of the high-speed rail line HS2, which is being built to connect London with the Midlands and the North. Tonight, we can reveal that a group of them has covertly removed tons of earth and created a tunnel which they say is 35 metres long. They hope to use the tunnel to make an eviction more difficult. Gareth Thurby has this exclusive report.
In a park in front of Euston Station, some people who want HS2 stopped have set up a protest camp. One of them is called Blue, and she's 18 years old.
It's about protecting these trees here in this park and all down the line.
To try to prevent eviction from the park, she wears a chain.
This is a lock-on chain that you put it around your wrist and you lock into lock-on tubes. It's like a tactic that protesters use.
So where are you going to be locking yourself on?
That's a bit of a secret, but I can show you now.
In the centre of the camp, the protesters have built a hut, and inside this hut, in the gloom, because there's no electrical power, is something they've kept hidden.
It's a tunnel. This is the down shaft, and then it goes off in all sorts of directions.
How big is it?
It's over 100 feet long.
Blue says she's helped to dig it out.
So how many times have you been down there?
Too many to count.
Are you prepared to carry my camera down to show us that what you're saying is true?
Yeah.
Crawling into the tunnel, Blue meets another protester who's helped to build it.
He's Larch.
Hello. Let's go in a bit. Let's follow you going in that way.
In this way?
Yeah.
Okay.
The protesters chose not to film the entire tunnel because they say they don't want to give away any secrets that, if widely known about, may make it easier to evict them. They say it's taken 2 months to build.
It's quite tight. Sometimes it's quite difficult to get through.
The shoring up is really important to keep us safe.
This dirt is really, it just sort of comes out of the wall, you can see. But we've put the shoring up so if it collapses on top of it, the shoring will hold up the dirt so it won't fall on us. We've made it as safe as we can, I think.
The protesters believe there's never been a tunnel like this in central London. And helping out is Dan Hooper, better known as Swampy, perhaps the most famous environmental activist in the country, who's been involved in tunnelling since the anti-road campaigns of the 1990s.
Maybe I could just go down. If we don't have a bucket though, I'm going to have to work on other things. Something
on this scale has meant moving many tons of soil.
Well, we didn't go as far as putting it down our trouser legs, but we have been spreading out on the yard, dropping it down in small batches at night as we go.
The tunnel has also been given a code name.
Trying to keep it secret rather than talk about a tunnel all the time. We talk about Calvin and going to visit Calvin.
They all say you need to watch The Great Escape. It's exactly what you're doing, but watch it after you go down, because apparently there's a bit of a collapse in it.
The protesters say no one has been injured by any collapse during the digging, and they say there's not a risk to anyone on the surface because the tunnel is small and deep. But an expert who rescues people from tunnel collapses and who's looked at these pictures has concerns.
I've looked at the shoring. It's not standard shoring. It's props that have been put in by protesters. They're not trained to do this type of thing. Although I take my hat off to them, they've done a very good job of digging a deep tunnel, but it's extremely dangerous, and they're risking their lives and they're risking the lives of those who actually go in to get them out.
The people who've built it, though, believe it's all justified because they're fighting to save the planet from climate change.
I'd sort of sacrifice anything to be able to just, for the climate ecological emergency to not be happening.
It's become our home. We'll see during the eviction how long it remains our home. We're hoping it'll last a good few weeks.
It's not about sort of martyring ourselves or whatever. It's about delaying them and stopping HS2.
A secret underground, now revealed. And how will the authorities deal with this? We may know within a few days. Gareth Furby, BBC London.
Well, let's pick up on all this with our transport correspondent, Tom Edwards. Tom, first of all, how common are tunnels as a form of environmental protest?
Well, there's a long history of tunnelling protests in the UK. I've been looking on the internet today, and it's very easy to come across some of the guides. This one's by Disco Dave. It's something of a Bible in the tunnelling world, and it gives you all kinds of instructions on how to build these tunnels. And one line in particular stood out for me. It says, "Few defence tactics can compare with the protest tunnel. Dangerous, laborious and time-consuming. Tunnelling is the ultimate and desperate tactic." Well, this started as a tactic back in the 1990s, as Gareth mentioned there, and there were very basic tunnels at the Newbury bypass protests. They became more advanced on the A30 protests down in Devon and also at Manchester Airport. And what it did was it made household names out of people like Swampy, but also crucially it changed public opinion. Now, more recently in 2017 we have had tunnelling protests down in Surrey at Cold Harbour. There was protests there against fracking. The difference here with these tunnels that we've got around Euston is these are in central London, and they obviously have a whole different kind of risks involved.
So do protests like this have an impact?
Well, the tunnels and the direct action in the 1990s, that did actually change transport policy, and road building was reduced massively, and they also changed public opinion. So it is probable that it could have an impact, but I'd say it's unlikely, because the reason is HS2 is a long way now into its construction. We've seen these huge construction sites at places like Denham. They're just about to put their tunnel boring machines through under the Chilterns. So they have spent billions of pounds, and even though people in government some people in government don't want it, I think they are going to go ahead. And there are lots of protest camps like these down the line. I don't think this is going to be the last kind of tunnel protest that we see on HS2 as a project.
And briefly, Tom, have HS2 said anything?
Yeah, on the site on the Euston Road, HS2 won't comment on specifics, but because they haven't taken control of the site, that's going to be for an interim taxi rank. They've got a statement, though: safety is our first priority when taking possession of land and removing illegal encampments. Also, we've had a statement from the British Transport Police. They've said it was aware of the tunnel. More broadly on the scheme, HS2 says this scheme is about creating extra capacity on the railway and delivering low carbon journeys. But environmental campaigners, as you heard there, they think the cost to the environment, particularly about habitats, the cost is just far, far too high.